step out into the morning mist and find the goat with the mouthful of grass.
Terrible steak and stuff. A lot of times that's creatures' appetite. With luck, you won't have to suffer the mortal whims of a farm animal much longer. After I collect the last souls, you can go back to the void from which you came. Ah, the void can wait. You are much company anyway. But you are correct. There's only one leg left to our journey. The final 4 souls have revealed themselves to me. Where are they this time? 3 linger in spaces you have already tread: the village, the market, and the fields. And the 4th resides far to the north on the cold slopes of the mountain. I will track them down no matter where they try to hide. Marvelous.
Oh there, ma'am. I hope you don't have business that way. The mill's in a spot of trouble.
The mill, you say?
Eh? So I do. I was about to drop off my wheat to the nice couple that works there, but when I heard the ruckus, I thought it best to wait here.
What ruckus? Are they beset by bandits?
Worse, a businessman. The Hawk is the land baron that owns most of the properties around these parts. I saw him banging on the mill door with a greedy look in his eyes. Trust me, it's best to lay low until the storm blows over, unless you want to end up penniless.
I have little use for Cohen. Therefore, nothing to lose. Perhaps I ought to see what the fuss is about.
By decree of the local bylaw, you must come out. Any who interfere with the eviction of this property will face full legal consequences of obstruction of justice.
As the stately tycoon hammers on the mill's door, a pair of shaky voices call out from the nearby window.
Please, Master Hawk, we just need a little more time.
You've had ample opportunity to renegotiate our contract at the Civil Hall. This is no time for excuses. Now open this door at once.
Ha, more miserable contracts. Drop the pretenses, Hawk. You're nothing more than a crook in a fancy clothes.
Excuse me, but this business does not concern you, madame. Take your snide remarks and be off.
I'll determine what business earns my concern. Thank you very much. I like to hear the other side of the story for myself.
Well, if they insist on remaining locked inside, then I shall depart. But I do not receive my payment at the bank soon. Even a locked door won't stand in my way.
The Hawk steps smartly around you and off down the road back to the village, leaving a trail of dust in his wake.
These poor mealers are still too shaken up to come out. I have to go get in around the back somehow.
How did you get in here? Did the Hawk send you? We don't have anything left to give, we swear.
Relax. I'm no thug. It seems like you two are caught between a rock and a bureaucrat. Just how did you get into such a pickle?
What's to tell? The Hawk is our landlord, and we work this mill for him. We've always been on time with our payments, never missed them once. But that greedy tyrant has been steadily hiking up the cost. We've barely been able to feed ourselves and pay our dues, but we always manage to scrape by. Then this last month, he raised the rent again, and that's worse. Someone broke in during the night and cracked our millstone. We can't grind flour. We'll never be able to get the money. And now he says if we can't pay, he'll evict us.
Awfully suspicious that your millstone was damaged right as the rent increased. Almost like he wants to get rid of you.
We explained the situation to him, but that man only has eyes for gold, not a kernel of kindness resides in his heart.
Well, let me take a look at that grinder of yours. A broken mill isn't much good to anyone, regardless of who owns it.
Really? You do that for us? If the millstone was repaired, we might be able to make enough flour before the deadline.
You inspect the granite millstone and run your fingers along the wide crack that has rendered the device dysfunctional.
Just as I thought. This appears to have been done on purpose.
You place the idol atop the old millstone. The vines wind their way neatly into the crack of the millstone, beginning to seal it anew. An ominous creaking sound fills the mill as the grindstone begins to shift and warp. Then with a bang like thunder, the crack on the stone snaps closed. The couple marvel at the millstone, running their hands over the smooth surface.
It's been fixed! It's been fixed!
The stone should be more durable than ever. I dare say it might even hold up to any future attempts of sabotage.
Oh my, what a wonder. If it's all the same to you, we need to get our grain processed right away. The Hawk has no patience when it comes to money. He ought to be back at the bank putting through the paperwork.
I ought to talk some sense in that penny-pinching buzzard. If I go now, I'm sure I'll intercept him at his office. You conniving knave. I know you sabotaged those poor miller's grindstones.
So what if I did? The property value has gone up, and they can't afford the rent. It's up to me to find someone else who can.
People like you never be satisfied. You'll always want more and more. Tell me, Master Hawk, what in the world would sate your hunger for gold?
Simple. The Rumpling would.
The whatling?
The Rumpling, a precocious Fey alchemist. They say he's in possession of the alchemist stone that can turn whatever it touches into gold. If the legends are to be believed, the one to catch the Rumpling would be paid his weight in gold.
Then why not put your mind to catching the rumbling instead of harassing your poor tenants?
Oh, believe me, I've tried, but he's a crafty fella. I've only ever got my hands on a single clue, and I've got that locked up tight in my vault.
Seems like you're robbing the world of an opportunity. Just because you can't find this rumbling fella, no one else can?
You eye the nearby bank vault suspiciously. The single guard looks simple enough to bypass. While the guard is busy picking his fingernails, you quaff the fruity tasting elixir. Its masking effects tickle the tips of your toes with a tingling sensation. While you don't feel any different on the inside, you know your outward appearance has changed. When the guard glances up at you,
Oh, hey, Leonard, is it time for my shift change already?
Yes. I'm here to relieve you. You better go and get some shut-eye while you still can.
You don't know how to tell me twice. I feel like I've been on my feet all day long.
Don't worry. I'll keep this vault nice and secure. You can count on me.
Yeah, sure. Just keep your back straight. The Hawk's in a foul mood today for some reason.
the guard stretches his shoulders and walks away, leaving you all alone with the bank vault. You find the Hawk's treasure map framed with pride. It's a little more than a tattered corner of a larger whole.
No wonder the Hawk didn't get very far. This is really a scrap.
Squinting at the half-torn linework, you can make out the cartographer's description of a giant dragged bones with a red X marking the spot.
That carcass looks awfully familiar. What if it's the same one that is rotten in the swamp? I guess the Hawk never had much reason to go searching there. Not many real estate investment opportunities.
The beast's rock-like remains dissolve into a disgusting white goo, leaving behind a conspicuous hidey hole. You reach your hand into the hole and pull out a single copper coin encrusted with grime. After scraping away the muck on the coin, you can barely make out a motto etched into the metal surface.
To summon the alchemist to thee, at the Fey Ring you must pay the required fee. Fey Ring? I wonder if it's referring to that overgrown mushroom patch in the forest. What's this? That worthless coin said this would summon the rumpling, not some flowery deer.
You take a closer look at the discarded floral branch. Antler? Branchler? One of the growing buds looks larger than the rest, and it twitches when you poke it.
Oh, hello there. Looks like this sprout needs some fresh fairy water. There's no water at this fairy circle, but surely there is others. I better go plant this thirsty fella and see what happens.
This looks like just the place. You stick the budding branchler into the fertile soil of the fairy circle. The suspicious flower bud wiggles with glee, drinking up the magical pond water. After a few minutes, nothing else happens.
Come on. I don't have time to watch flowers grow. Maybe I can speed things along a bit. A little pick-me-up should be all that's needed here.
You drip the invigorating fertilizer on the stumpy branch and it shakes with energy. The ground trembles as roots rip up around their feet. You find yourself looking up at an odd little house that has grown out of the flower bud. An even odder little man sits on the porch glaring at you.
Will you just leave me be? I don't know how you managed to track me down, but please, just go away.
Hold on now. You've led me on quite the merry goose chase. You are the Rumpling, are you not?
He sighs and cleans a smudge off his spectacles.
Congratulations, you got me.
The story is true, then. I've caught you, and now you must grant me my weight in gold?
Curse that stupid legend. Look, sorry you came all this way, but I don't do that stuff no more. I'm retired. These days, I'm more into woodworking. Wouldn't you rather have a cute little birdhouse instead?
I know a magical contract when I hear one. I found you fair and square, so cough up the gold, shorty.
Ha! Too bad. I threw the alchemist stone into a bottomless lake. Without that stone to make gold, I'm as poor as a pauper.
Why would you do that?
Why do you think? Because villains like you kept on trying to shake me down for money. All that rotten stone ever did was bring me misery.
Well, I'm not leaving empty-handed. You created the alchemist stone in the first place. You must know how to make another.
He blinks at you with his magnified eyes.
You want an alchemist stone of your own? Huh? Well, okay. Your funeral, lady. I still got the distilling equipment in my workshop. Just bring me these ingredients to make a new alchemist stone.
The Rumpling's eyes light up at the sight of the alloy, and he rubs his fingers together in anticipation. The Rumpling looks away from the newt spine, gesturing vaguely at the ground beside him. You lay it nearby. You pass the golden egg into the hands of the Rumpling, who receives it tentatively as if it could hatch at any moment. Collecting all the components into his arms, the Rumpling disappears into his little treehouse. You can't tell exactly what he's doing inside, but the sounds and smells emanating from the chimney make you think it's better left unknown. He emerges sometime later with singed eyebrows and foggy glasses.
Eureka! I've done it.
He holds out a glowing emerald with a pair of iron tongs.
Here. Go ahead. It's yours.
You appraise the glittering jewel. It's abnormally heavy in your hands.
Very pretty.
The little man's giggling abruptly stops and his face falters with disbelief.
Oh.
What's the matter? You seem disappointed.
It's nothing. This is just not what I was expecting at all.
He strokes his beard thoughtfully.
I guess I should have told you earlier, but there's a slight, curse to the stone. It can only be touched by one whose heart is free of avarice.
Oh, how convenient of you to leave that part out.
Since you went to all the trouble of tracking me down, I just assumed you were in it for the gold.
Oh my, no. I don't care much for the wretched stuff. This gold is meant for someone else.
Well, I gave you what you asked for. Our deal is done. Now leave me in peace.
All right. No need to be rude. I got to bring the stone back to the millers.
You're back. The Hawk will return with his goons any minute now.
Don't worry, I've got a solution to your monetary problems right here.
You hold up the alchemist stone proudly.
Oh, that's a very fine tool, but I don't think it'll be nearly enough to satisfy the Hawk.
Just stand back and watch. All this grain is just waiting to be spun into gold.
You place the stone into a barrel of grain and it melts through the kernels like butter. The barrel bursts under the weight of glittering golden coins, spilling out onto the floor.
Wow, it's a miracle.
You touch the alchemist stone to a bushel of straw, and it instantly transforms into a mound of sparkling riches.
Amazing. I can't believe my eyes.
You roll the alchemist stone into a bag of flour. The mountains of golden dust rips through the canvas sacks.
How is this possible? I've never seen so much gold in my life.
Before the millers can so much as count a single coin, the door crashes open. The Hawk strides into the mill, flanked by a pair of guards cracking their knuckles.
Time's up. Where's my money? Yeah, pay up, squirts.
Master Hog, not to worry, we got your payment right here.
His eyes open wide at the sight of piles of gold strewn about the mill.
What? But how?
Never you mind how. This should be more than enough to cover the cost of the miller's debts and the deed to the property.
I don't understand. Unless... No, it can't be.
He points a hooked talon at you accusingly.
You're the Rumpling. There's no other explanation. Guards, seize her.
The two goons leap forward and grab you roughly by the arms.
You're making a terrible mistake. Just take your money and leave these good people in peace.
Don't play smart with me, imp. I know how the legend goes. I've caught you, and now you must give my weight in gold. I'm rich. I'll lock you up and squeeze you for every penny you got. I'll be the wealthiest hawk in the entire kingdom. No, the entire world. Now, pay out of my first installment, Rumpling.
He outstretches his hands towards you greedily.
As you wish.
No sooner does the cold stone touch the Hawk's skin than a brilliant flash of yellow light engulfs the mill. When the light fades, the Hawk stands before you, transmuted into a solid gold statue.
What magic is this?
Horrified, the two soldiers beat a hasty retreat through the door.
What happened? Is he okay?
You tuck the stone safely back into your satchel and give the Hawk statue a pat.
I think this should set you up nicely. Just don't go spending it all in one place.
Thank you. How could we ever make this up to you?
Live a rich and full life. That ought to be enough for anyone.
You notice a stray feather glinting on the floor. You pluck the golden feather and run your fingers along the gleaming barbules. It makes a sound like coins falling into a wishing well. The soul of the Hawk.
This is my payment.
Dagnabbit. What do they mean too young for the tavern? I'm plenty big enough to go in there.
Hello there, child. What are you so perplexed about?
Child? I'm no child. I'm a fierce, well-muscled man. He puffs out his tiny chest proudly.
Oh, that must explain the little patches of fuzz on your chin there.
His cheeks flush red in embarrassment as he tries to reassert his dominant facade.
Hey, it's rude to stare. Anyway, I just shaved. I knew I should have let my beard grow out more. That crotchety old barkeep says I look too young to go into the tavern.
What business do you have in a dank place like that? Lad like you shouldn't be wasting his allowance on ale.
I'm not wasting my... I don't get an allowance. I'm a brave hunter. Or at least I will be as soon as I catch my first quarry.
And what exactly are you hunting?
Only the biggest, baddest beast of them all. The wolf. Do you know how many houses he's blown down? Not to mention all the missing maidens.
Missing maidens, you say?
Everyone knows that treacherous dog has a sweet tooth for pretty damsels. Lures them out into the dark woods so he can gobble them up. The town's guard's too scared to help, so it's up to me to put a stop to his terror. And he's inside that tavern right now.
A shame there's no minors allowed. Let me look at this pharaoh fella and see if he's as bad as you claim.
Well, I guess I'll just post up here until he comes out. Then I'll give him a taste of my blunderbuss.
You find the wolf looming over a frightened-looking barmaid.
Come on, Red. Why don't you join me for a midnight snack?
I already told you I can't. I got work to do.
I'm sure your boss won't mind one bit. Don't make me beg now.
Please, I really have to get back to work.
Aw, but you're just so delectable. A real feast for the eyes.
You accidentally tread on the wolf's tail.
Oh, excuse me, sir.
He jumps up with a yelp and spins to face you angrily.
Ow! Watch where you steppin', you old hag.
Terribly sorry. I couldn't tell you apart from the dirty rug on the floor.
He bares his fangs at you menacingly.
What did you say to me?
While the wolf is distracted, the young maiden slips away and disappears into the gloom of the tavern.
Look what you've done. Where'd she go?
He shoves his way past you to go prowling around the bar.
The huntsman's tale rings true. I better find where that barmaid got to before she comes dinner.
You see the maid's red hood poking out from behind the wooden barrel. Oh, it's just you. Thanks for helping me out back there. It was getting a little cramped. Hard enough serving meat all day. Just have to deal with that slavering wolf, too.
He does seem like the relentless type. Are you alright?
Just a little rattled. I was ready to smash a tray over its snout if it got any closer. But I'm sure that would have landed me in hot water.
The wolf's turning over every table and bar stool trying to find you.
Great. I guess I'll just hide back here in Rio Goodnor's the storeroom or something.
I admire your sense of self-preservation, but maybe there's a more permanent solution to this. I know a young huntsman looking to prove himself. Perhaps we can lure the wolf outside to deal with him there.
Sure, but how? You can count me out as bait, 'cause I'm done being dog food.
I doubt that mutt can see very well in this dingy place. I might be able to fashion a convincing enough likeness to trick him.
You eye a nearby coat rack.
That ought to make a good starting place.
Well, whatever you're gonna do it fast. I'm losing out on tips. This old coat rack ought to serve as a solid frame. You won't need much to fool the wolf, but the enchantment will take a special touch. You tap the key and hear a lovely tone. This will power the puppet's heart and give it a romantic allure. You take stock of the bits and bobs needed for sewing together a convincing physique. There should be enough spare rags in the storeroom for ample stuffing. If this is to survive an attempt on the wolf, it will need all the magical assistance it can get. You place the last stitch against the mannequin's doll-like smile. Its plump head hangs against the coat rack, no livelier than a reed in the wood. Are you sure this will work? I know the wolf doesn't have the keenest eyes, but he's no fool either. You grin underneath your cauldron and extend a gnarled finger towards the red hood hanging on the figure.
It will work just fine, my dear. A hound relies on his sense of smell more than anything else. This spare cloak of yours will fool him.
You throw a hood over the puppet's form and utter a dark curse beneath your breath. Great tremor passes through the building, shaking its foundation, making the lights flicker. An eerie light fills the room, illuminating the puppet's body. Head cocks over so slightly to hold you in its unsettling gaze.
It's alive! I had better deploy this puppet out of the wolf's sight. This back room should do fine. Then I'll simply walk it over to the salivating carnivore and strike up a conversation.
You guide the puppet on its invisible strings and bump it into the wolf.
Well, look who's come back. I knew you couldn't hide from me forever.
You contort the puppet in a flirtatious twist and blow a kiss from the doll's stitched lips.
What do you say you and me get out of the stinking tavern, I'll take you up to my place, let you simmer in the moonlight.
You do your best to make the puppet flutter its eyelashes seductively, but the lids get stuck halfway. Thankfully, the wolf is paying too much attention to his hunger to notice.
Don't be shy now. I'll show you the night of your life. Be a real treat, I promise.
The wolf caresses the doll's burlap cheek with a clawed finger, grinning from ear to ear. The puppet returns his affection with a vacant, button-eyed stare.
I just got a few things prepared. Meet me at the cabin in the dark wood just north of the swamp. It's a very dangerous road, so don't think about running off. But don't worry, I'll be watching you every step of the way. You know, to make sure you're safe.
He licks his chops enthusiastically, lashing his bushy tail back and forth. The wolf struts out of the tavern as if he won 1,000 gold coins. You pilot the doll back to the storeroom and it collapses into a bundle at your feet, ready for its next assignment. You did it! That wolf is finally out of my hair. Thank you so much. Maybe now I can finally get some work done around here.
I didn't hear a gunshot from a brave huntsman. I best go see if it's an ambush when we're Take care, my dear. Don't let the dogs keep you down.
The young hunter is practically shaking in his boots when you find him outside the tavern.
I couldn't do it.
I brought that wolf right to you, and you chickened out? What kind of hunter are you?
Did you see him? He's huge and hairy. And he gave one look at my little blunderbuss and howled with laughter. How am I even supposed to scratch that monster with this puny pop gun?
Sounds like you need some better ammo. As I recall, wolves are particularly distaste for silver.
By Abraham's beard, you're right. What I need is a silver bullet.
Clinging to a ragged shawl, the old panlander holds a tin cup with trembling hands.
Alms for the poor?
You bow your head respectfully to the aged fella, dropping in a coin into his cup. From under his ratty hood, the man gleams a silver-toothed grin at you.
Thank you, miss.
A penny for your thoughts, old-timer?
I'm afraid my thoughts are a little muddy as of late. I can't seem to recall what day it is, and when the last time I ate was. Last I remember, I was working at the old hog farm and the other unfortunates. Not quite sure how I ended up back here on the streets.
I've had more than a few memories abandon me as well.
Say, I must have left a few things behind at the farm. Misplaced my boot and, well, I can't remember what else. I don't suppose you'd do me a kindness of taking a look around the place for me. I'm not as spry as I used to be.
At the hog farm, you say? I guess it wouldn't hurt to take a peek. Maybe they have a lost and found.
Bless your heart, I do remember that you'll need permission to get through the gates. Those Hogs sisters run a tight ship. You'll have to go talk to the big hog who runs the butcher shop here in the market. She'll set you up with the work slip. This is perfect. The wolf won't know what hit him. I'll meet you in the dark wood and we'll put an end to his terror once and for all.
With bullet and blunderbuss in hand, the huntsman jogs off to the road towards the swamp.
I sure hope he finds his bravery along the way, or it won't matter what sort of slugs he's slinging.
Find yourself looking down the gaping mouth of a gun muzzle.
Who's there? Show yourself.
Don't you point that thing at me?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. It's just so dark here. I can hardly see my own shadow.
Why do you think they call it the Dark Wood? Keep your head on your shoulders, lad. We got a big bad wolf to bring down.
Oh, right. I'm totally not afraid of the vicious 7-foot-tall killer who makes his home in a forest as black as night.
You need to concentrate on the task at hand. We only have one silver bullet, and if the wolf catches even the smallest whiff of our plan, it's curtains for us.
No pressure. So what exactly is the plan?
The wolf is waiting in his cabin. I'll sneak up and lure him to you with my puppet, just as I did before at the tavern. Meanwhile, you'll find a good hiding spot and ready your gun.
And this time I won't wimp out. I got the silver bullet. So, do you know which way to the wolf's cabin? I can't really make out a path or anything.
Let me worry about that. You just get yourself ready. And remember, don't miss.
You squeeze through the gaps of the trees and duck under claw-like branches, but you've somehow managed to end up right where you started.
I'll never make it head nor tail of these pathways. Perhaps I'd ask someone with a bird's eye view.
A keen-eyed owl inspects you from its roost. Woo! Woo! Woo!
Well, who to you too? I wonder what it is you're trying to say.
You wave your linguistic scroll at the owl, magical quill at the ready.
Well, speak up.
Woo! 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 The quill scribbles across the parchment of its own accord, translating the owl's hoots into something more understandable. Walk warily, naive neighbor. Exploration seldom escapes notice.
What does that even mean? I thought owls are supposed to be wise. That must be the wolf's cabin up ahead. He's expecting Little Red to come a-knockin', so I'll need to use the puppet to lure him into the henchman's bush.
You puppet the red-hooded doll to the door of the wolf's rickety cabin. An evil light glows from within, casting eerie shadows on the ground. You lift the puppet's head to peep through the window, spotting chewed bones and torn rags littering the floor, but no sign of the wolf. Suddenly, yellow eyes stab out of the shadows.
There you are, my delectable little pork chop. I was beginning to think you've forgotten about me.
Through the strings of the puppet, a chill runs down your spine as your animal instincts can't help but scream one thing: run. At your command, the puppet comes to a halt at the center of the moonlit clearing. The wolf bursts out of the shadows, gripped by ferocious rage.
Ah, there's no place left to hide, little piggy. You're mine now. All mine.
Baring his fangs, the wolf pounces into the air with tremendous force. The sound of thunder roars loudly from across the clearing. Crows scatter into the night air, and the dark wood falls silent. Blinking in disbelief, the wolf staggers to a stop. He glances down at his chest, where a crimson spot blossoms out into his vest. The huntsman reveals himself from the bushes, holding his smoking weapon anxiously.
You shot me.
The beast crashes to the ground, exhaling his final breath, his glassy eyes transfixed on the full moon. Hesitantly, the huntsman boggles at the wolf before a triumphant grin crosses his face.
I did it. I actually did it. I defeated the wolf. Don't forget that you had some help, kid. The villain won't hunt any longer, and that's what really matters.
As the huntsman strikes a courageous pose atop his trophy, something pearly white falls from the wolf's mouth. You pick up a glistening fang, broken by the wolf's fall. From deep inside the bloody tooth, you can faintly hear the whimpering of a dog, the soul of the wolf. Chopping through the hock of meat with a gigantic cleaver, the surly-looking swine merely grunts at you when you approach.
Excuse me, I heard that you were the one to talk to about getting a work slip.
That's what you heard? Well, you heard wrong. We got enough good-for-nothing workers. Now buzz off.
Glance at the halo of flies buzzing around the pig's scalp.
Listen, there must be a way to get a slip.
Well, I am running low on ingredients to make the summer sausage. None of these nincompoops can hold two thoughts in their heads. Tell you what, you get me the things I need, I'll give you your precious work slip.
You push the basket of eggs towards the hog. She holds each one up to a candle flame and oinks in apparent satisfaction. You plop the sweet-smelling hawk down onto a relative clean section of the countertop. The pig grunts in acknowledgement. Your fishy catch still flops about, gasping for water, but the hog puts a stop to that with her hefty cleaver.
Head up that market and go northeast and give this to my sis at the gate. The smell of hot dog ought to guide you to that spot.
I can hardly contain myself.
Well, go contain yourself at the hog farm before I lose my temper.
She slaps a work slip down on the table.
Whoa there, no one gets onto our hog farm without a work slip. And if you want to work for us, you gotta fit the demographic.
And what demographic is that?
The kind that don't ask any stupid questions. Now you got a work slip or not?
You hand over the slip, a paper, and the hog squints at it with her piggy little eyes.
You don't look like you can lift a wheelbarrow alone and last good day's work. You're nothing but skin and bones.
I got the work slip, don't I? So let me in.
I'm fine. It's no bacon off my back. You find yourself face down in the mud. Your old heart gives out.
This particular pig looks a bit green in the face, and the odors emanating from it are somehow even worse than the local bouquet.
What's the matter, Hamlet? Did you eat something that didn't agree with you? Some stomach medicine ought to sort you out.
Not the pickiest eater, the sick swine eagerly gobbles up the antacid you offer it. You hear a bubbling sound coming from the pig's stomach, decide it's best to avert your eyes from the horrors of the natural process. When you look back, the pig has fallen asleep in the mud, looking much happier with its state of being. You turn your attention to the aftermath and gawk, the obvious cause of the beast's indigestion. A large bone sticks out of the filth. This gaggle of workers appear to be squabbling over something. Hand it over. I saw it first. That chance, you've already got those good leg wraps while I still going barefoot. Give it here. You see the object of their contention, a dirty old boot.
Ah, that must be my friend's forgotten piece of footwear.
The workers ignore you and continue fighting over the pathetic prize. This slough trough is overfilling with filth, like something is clogging the drainage hole. A thorough cleaning should dislodge the obstacle. You flush out the disgusting container, eventually getting to the root of the drainage problem. Something small metallic plops out of the muck.
That's odd. I doubt any of the pigs around here had much dental work done.
You put down the minuscule slippers. These won't be big enough for anybody. You pop the cork on the growth potion. You sprinkle a couple of carefully measured drops of the growth potion onto the tiny shoes. They make a sound like popcorn and burst into a size much more accommodating to human feet. The bickering workers look over at the source of the noise and their eyes go wide. Hey, Look, are those new shoes? Dropping the old boot in the mud, they rush over to try on the new footwear. Check it out, they got jingly bells on the toes! You sort through the collection of objects you've accrued: a silver tooth, a human bone, and a chewed boot.
I'm not sure what happened in this horrible place, but I got a suspicion that old beggar may have lost more than just his memories here. I better go see him. He'll be missing his boot, at the very least.
Ah, you returned. Did you have any luck finding my, what was it I lost again?
He placed the collected remains in front of the man.
Do any of these look familiar to you?
Oh, that's my favorite boot. I was wondering where that got off to. But what are these?
The man runs his fingers over the bone and silver tooth while creeping realization crosses his face. His skin begins to take on an ethereal pallor.
Am I dead?
It would certainly appear that way. Don't feel too bad. These sorts of things have a way of sneaking up on us.
But I remember now. I was up at the hot farm, and I was too old, too weak to work. The sisters, they said I was useless. They threw me in the feed trough. And then, all those hungry pigs. Oh no, how could they do this to me? All my life, I was starving. I had to beg for table scraps, and they fed me to the pigs.
I'm very sorry things ended this way. We ought to hold a feast to honor your life properly.
A feast? I've never had a feast. Where would we get the food? And who would come? Everyone I know is slaving away at those horrible sows.
You glance at the nearby communal cooking pit.
I think I have a solution to both of those problems. Don't you worry. I'll make sure you have a meal to remember.
This pit has seen its fair share of community cookouts. Though it isn't in the best shape, it will be enough for what you have in mind.
Now then, what should be on the menu?
You clap your hands together hungrily.
I think pork would be most appropriate. First, I'll have to fashion the proper container. A feast need not be flesh and blood if the spirit is hungry.
You set the tiny false creature amongst the ashes of the cooking pit. It wiggles and squeals with impotent hunger.
Now to fatten up this little piggy. I'll start with the smallest pig, sister, but I'll need to collect something special to bind her spirit.
You can hear the runty swine squealing even before you see her. Holding her crop high, she busies herself admonishing a cluster of poor workers.
I had to feed your useless rumps to the meat grinder, you filthy mongrels. Do we pay you to work or to sleep?
They recoil from their taskmaster's lashes. You don't pay us at all.
Say there, you seem to have gotten an awful lot of use from that grotty old switch. What would you say to a trade?
What? A trade? I've had this whipper ever since I was a wee suckling. No way, no how am I giving up my precious little flog. Is that a Lashmaster 2000 with extra stinging barbs and a rawhide non-slip grip?
The one and only. I thought you were doing such an excellent job keeping these poor exploited souls under your hoof that you deserved a reward.
She snatches the whip out of your hands with glee, tossing her old straw lash in the mud without a second glance. Not even saying thank you. She scampers off to test her newly acquired motivational tool on unsuspecting farm workers. With any luck, she won't have much time to use it. You feed the ratty straw whip into the mouth of the porcine of effigy. Despite the thing not having any teeth, you distinctly hear the sound of crunching as it chews up its first meal. The effigy shudders and swells in size, becoming a healthy-sized piglet made of straw.
1 down, 2 to go. For this feast to go off without a hitch, I need to gather something important from that swinish middle sister.
Hey, you're the one who gave my little sister that souped up whipper, ain't you? Well, I do as much work as that stinking twerp. This old beaten stick has served me well since these long years, but if she gets an upgrade, then why shouldn't I?
The sow takes a few test swings with her new cudgel, making you duck for safety.
Aha, that's more like it.
You won't be needing that cracked old stick anymore. I'll just take it off your hands.
Huh, sure, whatever. It's as good as firewood now.
She ignores you and goes looking for pine cones or small animals to take a swing at. You chop up the well-weathered cudgel into bite-sized pieces and offer them to the small effigy. It wastes no time gobbling up the bits of wood and crunching them to splinters. Satisfied with its second meal of sticks, the stimulated pig rumbles and once again grows in size.
This ham is almost ready for dinner. Just needs 1 more helping of soul food. Something special from that Brutus butcher will be the last ingredient I need.
You see the enormous swine hacking apart a haunch of meat with her cleaver. Its dull and chipped blade has clearly seen better days. She sneezes heavily before wiping a glob of snot with the back of her hand.
You again? What do you want now?
As your dutiful employee, I've been taking upon myself to improve your meat business. That whetstone of yours looks like it's not doing a great job of keeping your tools sharp.
She raises an eyebrow at the worn slab of grindstone sitting on the countertop.
I suppose it might be time to replace the old girl.
Just think of how much more brutal you could be with a brand new sharpener.
The sow slowly grinds the blade of her cleaver across the new whetstone, sending flecks of rust flying. She plucks the hair from her own chin and tests the keenness of the edge by splitting it in half.
Oh, not bad at all. Go on, take this old stone and throw it in the trash.
It was just an old brick. No wonder why it didn't sharpen anything. You toss the old brick into the effigy's ravenous maw, and it cracks it to dust within moments. With its final meal of bricks, the porcine simulacrum swells to a monstrous proportions. A rattling laugh chills your blood as the old man's spirit looks upon your work.
What a proper beggar's feast this is. I thank you for the kind gesture. But I still don't see how this will bring justice to those wretched swine.
Just you wait. I have to fire up the barbecue first.
Striking a spark into the pit, you set the tinder alight. You take a step back, watching the orange flames leap high into the air. The porcine effigy blackens as you tend the fire and fuss over the coals. A succulent aroma begins to waft in the wind. The old man licks his translucent lips, hungrily.
I swear I can almost smell a delicious roast. Ah, if only it were real.
Over the sounds of crackling logs, you hear a crowd of footsteps come padding down the road towards the cooking pit. Over here, I knew I smelled something good.
It's the others, my friends. You've come back.
Hey, a ghost. No, wait. Is that old man McGraw? Say it ain't so, old-timer. When you never showed up for the morning head count, we all feared the worst.
It's true, I ended up as pig food. Can you believe that? I worried you would all face the same fate as me. However, did you escape the hog farm?
It was the strangest thing. The swine sister started complaining about the weather being too hot, even though it's pretty chilly if you ask me. All of a sudden, they bolted out into the woods, squealing all the way, left the gate wide open and everything. Then we smelled something delightful in the breeze and couldn't resist. It's been so long since we had anything other than pig slop. Gosh, that smells so good. Is it barbecue? Where did you get all that food? In place of the brick, sticks, and straw, the porcine effigy has split into a mountain of delectable sizzling meats. Ham, sausage, bacon, it all looks so delicious.
What a wonder, it truly is a feast. Thank you.
What did I tell you? Enjoy yourselves for a little while longer and be at peace.
The starving crowd happily helps themselves to the feast, cheering, laughing, and praising the old ghost's name. You see something twinkle amongst the cooling coals of the cooking pit. Warm to the touch, you pick out a piece of greasy gristle from the soot. On closer inspection, it appears to be 3 separate chunks. 1 fat piece, 1 long piece, and 1 small piece. The souls of the pigs.
Stay back, spirit. I have nothing you want. Tis, keep your wits about you, boy. I'm just an old woman. Oh, so you are. My apologies. One can never be too careful traveling about the mountainside. Plenty of tricksters like to disguise themselves and play pranks on me. I meant no disrespect. None taken. What are you doing out here in the cold anyway? I've come to collect iceberries for my brother's coronation. He's going to be crowned king of the whole realm today. King? According to whom? Well, according to him, I suppose. He is the eldest, after all. He says it's his destiny. Some days. I'm not sure, though. I feel like I should be doing more than just tending to the castle's gardens. So he gets to be king, and you get to pick berries till your fingers fall off. It's not so bad. I like the crisp air and fresh snow. There's something magical about the wilderness. But listen to me prattle on. I still need to collect the ice berries my brother requested. Very particular when it comes to, well, anything really. A job shared is done twice as quickly. Let me help you before the frost bites. Why, thank you. I am getting a bit chilly. I only need a few more ice berries. Any luck finding those ice berries? Just look at those wonderful bounty you gathered.
He gladly takes the berries from you and places them in his pack.
It was no problem at all. The stroll through the brisk air was quite refreshing. If only my brother cared as much for the beauty of this place. He always been content saying amidst the nobles of his court. I should like to meet this brother of yours. He sounds like quite the ruler. Well, why didn't you say so? I'd be happy to invite you to the castle.
The buck slips his arm out towards you in a gentlemanly fashion. You take it with your gnarled claws and nod.
Let's be off then, shall we?
The prince isn't accepting any peasant complaints. Scat, you old crow.
How dare you speak to my guest with that tone?
Apologies, sir. I didn't know she was your guest.
Don't apologize to me. I'm not the one you disrespected.
Right. I'm sorry, miss. What I meant to say was, welcome to the court of the magnificent and benevolent Stag.
Louder and with more pomp, please.
I hereby welcome thee, Lady of the,
This won't.
Lady of the Swamp, to celebrate with us on this most auspicious day, the bequeathing of the kingdom to he whose antlers reach the hithermost clouds and shine with justice and...
That will do just fine. Carry on guarding.
Right.
The buck turns to you and nods to his pack.
I've got to prepare these berries for the ceremony and do some final pruning in the hedge maze. I'll meet you inside.
Sitting upon a lofty throne, the prince looms over his court of nobles.
Not too many tiny cakes, they can't outnumber the tarts. And where is my useless brother with those berries? Everything must be perfect for my coronation. I think I saw him slinking off to the garden, sire. No doubt shirking his royal duties once again. Ingrate. I do ever so much for that little rascal, and he doesn't even bother to show me the respect I deserve. I should have had him exiled long ago, if only he weren't my brother. A fantastic idea, Your Grace. He'll be shown the door as soon as the ceremony is concluded, I assure you. Ha! My days of sharing the throne with that dandelion are almost over. It is best he lives out his days on the mountain. Lord knows it is where he belongs.
The stag's eyes narrow suspiciously at a cluster of nobles.
Speaking of my brother, have you three taken care of the statue in the hedge maze? Oh, yes, Your Majesty, just as you requested. Don't you worry yourself, my lord.
The nobles exchange hurried whispers, but you can't hear them clearly.
I wonder what all the fuss has to do with the measly statue. Something doesn't feel right. Perhaps I ought to take a look at it myself.
At the foot of the marble statue is a cracked and weather-beaten plaque. You wipe snow from the engraved slab and find that large chunks have been hewn away from it. Only a few words are still legible. Stag. Rightful heir and ruler. Revealed.
The choice of words is quite convenient for a royal aspirant. I wonder what the rest of the story has to say about the matter.
You pick a tuft of colorful fur caught on the statue's raised hoof. Looks to be from a very expensive piece of clothing.
The nobles of the court seem to have nothing but time on their hands. Perhaps some of them know the secrets of the statue.
A noblewoman snaps her fingers at you as you pass by. You there, freshen up my wine. Nodding politely, you dip your syringe into her glass and squeeze out a good amount of purple liquid. She sips it with her nose high in the air.
There's a broken plaque in the hedge maze. What do you know about it?
Stag? It's the last time I help out that stag, I'll tell you that much. He was whining about a prophecy or some such nonsense. Told me to get rid of a piece of that plaque for him. I tore my finest winter muff trying to get the grip of that damnable thing, so I left it under a big tree in the middle of the hedge maze. You snap your fingers, and the nobleman makes a disappointed frown, pulls up the collar in a huff, and rejoins the party as if nothing had happened. You slather a cracker with liver pate and drizzle some scintillating serum over top. Soon enough, the nobleman licks his lips and indulges himself.
What do you know about the statue in the hedge maze?
The nobleman scratches his chin absent-mindedly. Oh, you mean the one in the stag smashed up? I'm not really supposed to talk about it, but he told me to get rid of some chunk of marble. Terrible heavy things. Anyway, I just left it behind one of the wooden benches in the maze. Did he really expect me to lug it all the way out of the castle? You snap your fingers and the noble immediately goes back to snacking as if nothing had happened. You stick your syringe into a plump macaroon and offer it to the nearest nobleman on a silver platter. He pops it into his mouth without even looking at you.
Broken plaque in the hedge maze. Would you happen to know anything about it?
The noble's eyes flutter and they speak as if conversing with themselves. Can you believe the audacity of that stag? He broke it. He should have been the one disposing the pieces. Well, I couldn't be bothered to do such menial labor. Could you imagine? So anyways, I just tossed my piece into the southeast corner of the maze. Next time, he should get some of the servants to do his dirty work. You snap your finger at the noble. They sneer at you for a moment before returning to their wine as if nothing had happened. Wedged under the tree's forking roots lie a jagged piece of statue. Buried beneath a heaping of snow, you finally manage to find a hunk of stone. Just as described, a piece of the plaque seems to have been kicked under the bench and forgotten.
That is the last piece of the plaque. I'll have to reassemble them at the stag statue if I want to make sense of this.
You snap the broken chunks of marble back into place. Despite some marring on the surface, you can read the plaque easily enough. The Buck and the Stag, the tale of two princes, only one destined to be rightful the heir and ruler. The king will be revealed by the touch of the truest crystal flower.
Looks like the stag is trying to cut his dear brother out of his birthright. Wonder what the business with the crystal flower. The buck knows his way around a garden. Perhaps he'll have some idea.
Clicking his ears, the young gardener puts his pruning shears down at your approach.
Hello again. Lovely day for a walk in the hedge maze. Granted, you don't get lost. Say, you wouldn't happen to know anything about a crystal flower, would you? Crystal flowers? Why, they're very, very rare. They said they only grow in a cave at the highest peak of the mountain. According to legend, the truth of one's heart is refracted in the facets of each frosted petal. Why do you ask? Oh, no reason. I just thought one might make a nice gift for your brother's big day. Oh, hey, you're right. That's a brilliant idea. What better gift from the court's gardener than a beautiful crystal flower? Oh, but the trek up the mountains is perilous. I don't know if I have what it takes. Nonsense. I was heading up that way anyways. You just stay close behind. Really? You'd help me? Well, all right. What are we waiting for then? Meet me up by the slopes and we'll get underway.
You see the buck hiding behind a bush, anxiously watching something up ahead.
What's the matter, Fred? Did you get cold feet already? They'll hear you. Look.
Through the pine boughs, you can make out figures moving across the snow. They're covered in warm pelts and carry sharp-looking objects.
The royal trappers. They keep my brother's court supplied with furs, but they've been out here for so long they'll hunt anything that moves. Well, it would be a shame if those antlers of yours ended up on someone's trophy. Wait here and let me deal with them. All right, be careful.
You glance at the buck hiding safely behind a tree at the far side of the camp. Making a raven's call, you signal for him to join you. The buck picks his way through the frozen trappers.
Are they going to be okay? They might catch a case of sniffles. Nothing a nice warm bowl of soup won't fix. Come along now. We're still a ways away from the mountain peak. I think I know a way up. I'll meet you ahead. Come join me when you're ready.
Before you stands a looming rock face. Not even the most determined climber could hope to scale it.
I thought you said you knew a way up to the peak. Well, you see, this is the Great Geyser. When the air is cold enough, the water erupting from it freezes solid. I thought it might give us something to climb up.
You look into the dry crater at the bottom of the sheer cliff.
I don't see much erupting happening down there. It's been dormant for a few seasons now. I kinda hoped we get lucky. I don't trust any luck that I don't make myself.
You take a moment to ponder your situation and eye the small geysers nearby, frequently spewing steam up into the frosty air.
I suppose these other water spouts all draw from the same underground source? I think you're right. They started popping up shortly after the Great Geyser fell silent. Then I wager if we plug them all up, we'll be able to make the big one blow its top again. Plug them? With what?
You turn your attention to the bleeding mountain goats digging for lichen nearby.
Those frosty beasts look to be about right the diameter. Maybe I can coax some of them into position.
With the plump bodies of braying goats clogging up the small geysers, the earth beneath your feet begins to grumble. The mountain goat's eyes go wide as the pressure builds beneath them. With no other outlet, the steam rushes towards the only opening left. With a deafening boom, the long dormant geyser erupts, sending a great spew of water high into the air. As the deluge reaches its apex, ice crystals begin to form in the mist, twinkling as they hang in the air. Bit by bit, they begin to build on each other, forming larger and larger crystals, until it forms a great column of ice, rising all the way up towards the mountain peak.
Ah, I can't believe it worked. Last one onto the top is a spotted fawn.
You stand at the mountain's peak, buffeted by wind and snow.
Now then, where's this crystal cave you spoke of? I'm not sure. I think it's just up ahead, but in this blizzard I can hardly see my own nose.
Buck jumps behind you, pointing into the frigid fog.
Wait, what was that?
You squint into the gailing winds, unable to see anything but white.
Probably just another mountain goat? I wouldn't be so sure. When I was little, my brother told me stories of the snowkin who lived up here. He said if I ever went up the mountain, the snowkin would blow a great blizzard down on me. He said they turned me around and give me false directions until I got lost and froze solid. Sounds to me like these snowkin might be some kind of guardian spirits, and if they're aiming to keep people away from something, they'll know where that something is. I have a notion to find our way as they do, but it will take a considerable quantity of their essence. That sounds dangerous. I'll stay put then. I know better than to wander blind in a snowstorm. Look, see how the snow swirls in strange directions? Maybe the snowkin know the path.
You pile the mystical snow at the buck's feet and shield it from the howling winds. The flakes drift in the air like icy glitter.
Oh, come on then, I'm getting chilly.
You prod the snowdrifts with a muttered invocation. Despite the chaotic storm, the snow crystals swirl to an icy ribbon and slowly trace a line up the mountain peak.
There it goes. That must be the way to the Crystal Cave.
He takes off the trail like a shot. You hike up your skirt and do your best to keep up in the dense snow. His face falls as you arrive at another sheer cliff.
I don't understand. The snow stops here, but there isn't anything more than rocks. Did the snow king mislead us? Are we lost? I don't want us freeze solid. This is no dead end. Look,
You gesture to the cliff where the eddies of the swirling snow quickly gather. Within moments, the entire wall of rock is buried under fresh white powder. You reach out with a clawed finger and touch the pure snow, melts away to reveal a glittering opening in the snow.
the Crystal Cave. You did it. Let's go in before we freeze to death. I'm certain the crystal flower must be inside. Oh dear, look at all these flowers. I didn't think there'd be so many. I'm going to pick a whole bouquet.
You stop the impetuous youth with a quick tug and a mutter beneath their breath.
Hold on. The prophecy mentioned the one true crystal flower. These other flowers must be a deception meant to trap foolhardy would-be kings. Prophecy? What are you talking about? I only mean to say that we should find the best single flower for your brother's coronation. Good point. Quality over quantity. I think I just saw the right one over there. It's this one. It's perfect. Just look at the refraction of the petals and the frosting on the leaves. Oh, but I seem to have forgotten my pruning shears back at the castle. Would you do the honors? I don't want to damage it.
You snip the brittle stem of the flower, careful not to touch it directly. Prophecies can be nasty stuff if you stick your fingers in it. The buck holds the flower aloft, inhaling the blossom's magic aura.
Wow, smells just like powdered snow and fresh pine trees.
The moment is interrupted by the shrill cries of aristocrats clamoring against each other. I found them! Over here, my lord! In a rush of colorful fabrics and fancy hats, you find yourself surrounded by nobles. The stag steps out from their midst, looking irate.
After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me, brother?
The young prince blinks in confusion.
What are you doing here? Have I offended you somehow?
Usurper! You thought you could slip off when I wasn't looking and steal the crown from me? You think I don't know about the prophecy of the crystal flower?
Why does everyone keep talking about a prophecy? I picked this flower as a gift for you, brother.
Fool! Only the king can choose the true crystal flower, and you are not the king.
The stag reaches down at his feet and plucks the closest flower.
See, only I can.
The stag never finishes his sentence, his defiant pose forever imprisoned inside solid ice.
Oh, my brother. What have you done?
You give the mystified buck a reassuring pat on the back as the nobles gather closer.
The true king has been revealed, indeed. King? You mean me?
You are the prince, after all, and I suppose that prophecy was pretty clear.
Magic flowers are seldom wrong about this sort of thing, and if you tend to your kingdom with the same care you tend to your garden, you'll do just fine.
The ring of nobles crowd around the buck. You know, I never cared much for that stag myself. I think the new ruler will shake things up a bit. You excuse yourself as they bow and praise the confused lad. Long live the king! Passing the frozen stag, your eye catches on something sticking out of the permafrost. You reach down and pick out a shard of translucent ice, careful not to cut yourself on the sharp edges. Despite the warmth of your palm, it does not melt. The soul of the stag. The souls of the stag, hawk, hogs, and wolf rattle inside your pack like angry insects.
The last of these villains. Now it's time to put an end to these wretched business with the goat.
goat paws the floor with a cloven hoof.
You returned. I was beginning to grow impatient. I would have thought patience to be one of your strong suits, but don't fret, I have brought the last of your souls. Delicious, are they not? You know what to do.
Shimmering sensations of the hawk wash over you, the nib of the quill scratching on parchment, coins clicking, the sharp snap of a closing padlock. Your eyes water at the smell of the hogs, grunting swine and buzzing flies. A cleaver falls onto a wooden block, blood, bone, and meat. A chill runs through your fingers as the stag sockets into the wall, condescending laughter, schemes in the snow, pride, arrogance, and hubris. Your mind sinks into the shadow and the presence of the wolf, soft footfalls padding through dried leaves, hot breath, big eyes, sharp teeth. The collected souls vibrate with incandescent intensity. They seem to melt into their recesses, boiling away into tiny pinpricks of starlight. Soon nothing remains of them except 12 smoldering scorch marks on the stone wall.
Ah, well done. That's that. Our contract is fulfilled. It was a pleasure doing business with you. Hang on. What about your end of the deal? You said you would return my memories to me. Did I? Well, perhaps I misspoke. You never really had any to begin with, my dear. What are you talking about? I just don't remember them. I woke up and met me. Yes, that sounds about right for your very first memory. What? But you told me that I brought the sleeping maiden to you, that I asked you to save her soul. Oh, what I meant to say is that she came to me. She asked me to save her own soul, but it's very easy to get confused. You, her, really, what's the difference?
Dawning realization creeps over you like ice water.
Her life was cut short, whether by the wolf's fangs or the hog's cleaver or under the weight of a dozen other wrongs, I do not know. But in desperation she called out to me, so we struck a deal. I would save her soul in exchange for theirs, 1 for 12. But it's not like I could let her go and collect them herself. She needed to stay here, you see, as insurance. So what then? You created me, is that it? To collect those souls on her behalf? Well, I should say she created you, snipped off a piece of herself to do it. It was all worked out in the contract, of course. And now that contract is fulfilled, panned out nicely for everyone, I'd say. So if you, by which I mean she, ever need to get a hold of another bind, don't hesitate to give me a shout. Ta-ta, for now.
The room fills with a flash of blinding light. You blink, and the goat is gone, leaving only a goat-shaped hole in the world. Slowly, you turn to face the sleeping maiden. You feel sluggish and heavy. You take a strained step towards the gilded coffin. Your legs snap like dry twigs, and you crumple to the floor. The cauldron is the last to fall. It resounds with a hollow clang as it bounces off the ground. You slowly open your eyes and you see the vaulted ceiling of the hall. You raise your hand to touch the clear crystal surface of the gilded casket. The glass lid slides open effortlessly and you swing your legs to sit up. The marble floor is smooth and cold under your bare feet. You stoop down to pick up a familiar metal cauldron. Slowly, memories come back at its touch.